Hi guys, and welcome to the episode of Depression and Anxiety, where at the moment I'm waiting for my notes to load so I don't miss anything out. But I'll start with depression. A lot of people think that it's to do with sadness and crying, and as true as that may be, that's not always the case. And it does tie a lot in with anxiety in the sense of low moods. You want to stay in bed, you don't want to go out, you don't want to see friends, etc., etc. So just while I'm waiting for this to load, I will give you my dealings with it. So starting off with depression, I did have a time of depression in my teens, where I'm not going to lie, I did self-harm. I never told anyone about it. I didn't show anyone it because I didn't want it to be a case of, oh, she's looking for attention. But it's not. It was more a matter of, it was some kind of release. So rather than feeling the pain in here, I felt the pain elsewhere. So I didn't do it in an attempt of suicide. It was purely just to direct my pain in another direction. Now, it's extremely common. Everybody knows about self-harm in some respects, and everybody, like, you're aware of what it entails, but people don't truly understand it. They think it is just a matter of you're doing it for attention. It's a cry for help. Well, in some ways, it is a cry for help, because if you are doing that to yourself, you do need help. So that is what that is. But a lot of people do that because they're too scared to speak out about it or talk to someone. They're afraid of being judged, or say if they have children, they're afraid of something going wrong in the sense of social services getting involved and causing riots. But it is not exactly as black and white as people make it out to be. There is a huge grey area of understanding, and it is a matter of all the fans on the fritz. It is a matter of you don't feel like you're good enough, like especially if you're a mother or a father, you don't feel you're good enough, and that's a way of directing the pain. There's all sorts of things, like people, when it gets too extreme, to go towards suicide. I personally have never tried to commit suicide. I don't condone it, but I have been in situations where I have felt that it would be better off if I was not here. My children would be better off without me, and I would just be one less trouble for everybody I know and love. That's where the depression is a very crippling thing, but naturally, because it's an invisible problem, if you will, people will either look down their noses at you, or if you put on a brave face, which is extremely hard to do, but I was one of those that would try to put on a brave face so other people wouldn't question, because there's nothing worse than having to try and explain yourself. Now, speaking about it now to you guys, I am past most of it. I am having I am having a problem where I do have depression moods, if you will. But I have pushed my way through and gone through the doctors, and they've given me tips for counselling and all things like that, and they've given me some antidepressants. I have been through a few different antidepressants, which was more a trial and error situation. And then I started stabilizing. So then I ended up with postnatal depression, which is my previous video. And then they had doubled my prescription. And then I came down I felt that I came down from that. Now, if you are on antidepressants, it does make you feel like you are getting better. So if you do feel that you are better on them, and you feel that you can come off of them, do not just stop your medication, because that's a mistake I made and it just spiraled. So then they've had to put me back on them and put them back up again, and with recent events going on, which I will explain in future videos, they've had to triple my medication because of my mental health and recent situations that have happened, which I'm not proud of, and I will explain in another one of my videos. It might take a while for me to lead up to it, but they all fit together to basically put into place what happened, so people could slightly understand a bit more on why I disappeared. You probably saw missing posts on Facebook about me, which I did mention before. I'm pretty sure I mentioned before. So that went up, and apparently I did have, like, my sister, especially the people that were sharing it, did have some really abusive comments, but because no one knows my situation or how I got to that place, they started spouting hate, especially because my ex decided it was a good idea and his family decided it was a good idea to start stirring when they have no idea whatsoever what happened. They just fill in the gaps on what they feel should be there, even though it's not true. So it does all link together, and I will get to that story. Now, another part of my depression which fell into place is all because of my physical health. Well, I say all because lightly, but recently it's because of my physical health, because I have MS. I have a rare spinal condition, and I'm blind in my left eye, which I don't know what it is on that camera, but it's this one. So just to put that in there. And I went through the darkest time of my life. I'll explain more in my MS video, but just a briefing on it is because at that point I went blind, deaf, and almost paralyzed. I was literally in the darkest place, both blind and stuck in here. And that was for a few weeks. So that did really pin me down. And the anxiety is in some sense very similar, and it does contribute heavily to depression. Is things like you don't want to go out, you're quite worried or paranoid that something is going to happen when you are out, and I get this a lot. When I'm out, I do feel at times that people are staring at me, judging me. I do feel like when there's people laughing, I feel that they're laughing about me. Now, this kind of thing, it does seem narcissistic, and I have been called a narcissist, which is all a load of crap. But when it's anxiety, you don't think everything's about you, in the sense of, oh, the world revolves around me, you aren't important, it's all about me, what you say or do doesn't matter because it's all about what I say and do. Whereas in anxiety, it's more the matter of, oh, I think they're laughing at me, what are they laughing about, what have I done, oh, have I got something on my clothes, or oh, have I torn somewhere, or just silly little things which, when you have anxiety, doesn't seem very silly and little. So that is really hard, and I can't stress enough that talking to someone, it doesn't have to be a professional. Personally, a doctor would be the best place to go, and by no means am I a medical professional, so don't take what I say as gospel. I'm only telling my experiences and the common ailments towards depression and anxiety. But your best bet, like the only advice of mine you should heed, is if you do feel like this, go to a doctor, speak to a doctor or a counsellor. And still, like, you can talk to family, friends, it does help, it really does. With the anxiety side, if you're like me, you don't want to tell your family or friends because you don't want to bug them, you don't want to feel like you are harassing them, you don't want to feel like you're dumping stuff on them. And that's how I felt my whole life, which then led me spiraling into my disappearance, and being easily manipulated. Now, if you let your mental health deteriorate that much, and it gets to the point where you don't even know that you're mentally that weak, speaking from experience, it is a matter of, someone can come into your life, they can come and manipulate you, they can tell you anything you want to hear and you believe it. If, as my friend kind of described it to me, and it makes complete sense, she said, obviously, if there's a load of crap going on in your life, if you have a lot of bad things going on in your life and you're struggling with them, and then someone walks up to you with a silver platter of amazingness, or what appears to be really good, you're gonna take it. Because if everything is going wrong around you and there is one door open for you to escape into, it is very common to fall into that trap. And it is a matter on, if something seems too good to be true, it most likely is. So it is a matter of getting yourself into the habit of talking to people. You can express things in other ways, like writing diaries, mood diaries, dream diaries, things like that, just to keep on top, so then you can find out your triggers. So I have been writing down a lot of the time only bad things. So what has happened, what triggered it, how I responded, so on and so forth. And when I needed it the most for an evidence situation, I didn't realise that I have been writing like this in these senses for, and been made to feel bad for the past over 2 years. And even I didn't realise that. So if you are in that mental space of, you do need help but you don't talk to anyone, you're not going to know that you're in the situation of, it is crap when it is bad, because your mind will then make up to be like, oh, it's not all that bad, it could be worse, but it is really bad. But because your own mind has downplayed it to you, you think, oh, it must be real then. So that's how you fall into a really dark place if someone manipulates you very easily. So I can give you some tips on what my active monitorer gave me. Now, these tips are from an active monitorer from a company in the UK called Mind. I'm not too sure if there's a Mind anywhere else, but I know every country would have some form of very similar thing. Now, Mind is an organisation that does deal with mental health. They give counselling, they give, in my case, active monitoring. They can open you up to support groups, people being in similar situations, or women of the same age, or have kids, and just little things like that. So they can put that in place so you don't feel alone. So I do suggest, if you have something like Mind, speak to your doctor and get their advice and see if they can point you in the right direction for something like Mind. So it is very good. It has been helping me, but I have been doing for years what they have advised me to do anyway. So there's not really much at the moment they can help me with, because I do need the counselling. I am waiting for the counselling for the specific situation I have been through, but they won't give me the counselling while a court process is going on, because they don't want to fall into the legal trap on, if I say something, they'd have to tell the courts, or they don't want names being mentioned, and it's all legal liability situations. So that's completely understandable, as much as I actually need the counselling. Now, the active monitoring for me is all right, but like I said, I've already been doing these things for years anyway. But if it's something that you're not used to doing, then definitely give it a go. So they have situations like, when you're in a bad place, write down what has happened, how it's made you feel, your reaction, and then once you've calmed down and your head's not in the shed and it's not all over the place, then go back to that and then write down how you could have responded. So basically, as in, if you were watching from the outside, a best way probably to think about it is to look at it as, if it was someone you care about going through that situation, what advice would you give them? And then try to heed that advice yourself. So it's as though you were talking to yourself in that respect. And you do then start piecing things together and making a bigger picture. So that does help, because then if you then train yourself, like you train your brain then into hopefully calming down quicker, and then looking at the bigger picture. If that was my best friend, my sister, whoever going through that, what would I say? How would I react to their actions? And then take that and reverse it to, then you see how you should have handled things, really, rather than going down the spirally route, which is what I tend to do a lot, because I run on feelings and emotions and things rather than logic. So thankfully I have 3 important people. Well, I say 3 lightly. I would say 2 then in this sense, that aren't my family, because my sisters, they run on emotions and they have a short fuse like me. So as soon as you say one thing, it's my brother on the other hand, he's very right, calm down, lay it all out, pick it apart and try and diffuse it, because it does seem a lot smaller when you pick it apart. My brother-in-law, he's the same. He's like, right, calm down, look at it from the outside, this is what I see, can you see where I'm coming from, kind of thing. Now I have 2 very good friends that are very much like that, and one of them is my best friend over here in Wales. She seems very level-headed and she's very blunt and to the point, and she don't sugarcoat anything, she'll tell you as it is. So it's a matter of, she knows me and what I'm like, but she'd be like, well, this, sorry if I offend you, kind of thing. And I'm just like, no, crack on, tell me. Need honesty. And this is a problem that people face that have depression and anxiety. They don't have, like, if they don't express it, they'll never know if they have that support that is level-headed, who can help them through it. The anxiety will drag you back, so you feel alone and you feel like you have nobody, when I'm sure everybody has at least one person. Now, my other friend, he is very level-headed, and he is also not a beat around the bush. He is very, what do you want, kind of thing. He's very supportive of me, and he always says to me, he goes, don't take this the wrong way, but, and then he'll blurt it out. But I have learned to, I'm training myself to not be offended, and when it's coming from a place of love from the closest people to you, you do learn to not be offended by it. But with a lot of things, you either take it as with a pinch of salt, or you take it on the chin and use it. Because with anxiety, you can't really take criticism very well, and you do take it personally. I am one of those people, very much so. But given everything, it's now, life's too short, and if you're going to say something, say it. I'd rather you just, like, especially if you're close to me, if you're someone I love dearly, whether you're a friend, family, whatever, I expect you to tell me the truth. Be honest with me. Don't beat around the bush. Don't tiptoe around eggshells. Just say it. And it's a lot easier said than done. But I do promise you that in the long run, it is completely worth it. Because I still struggle with anxiety. Now, I have bought on Amazon, actually. It's called One Day at a Time. And it has all things on it, where it gives you mood tracker, meal tracker, to-do lists, gratitude, 3 things you're grateful for that day, what can you improve for tomorrow, what was your favourite part of that day, and then a page of where it just says extra notes. Let's see if I don't even know what it is. Now, I have it back here. I will actually show you, just so credit can be given where it is due. Now, this is the book that I've got. This backwards to you. But yeah, this is something I've got. And this is my second one, because I have actually filled out the first one. Now, these are the types of pages you're looking at. So you got mood tracker, anxiety levels, energy levels, your goals. At the bottom you've got your gratitude and all those kind of things, and then your extra pages, which I tend to use as a diary, if you will. So it does help. So when you do have your appointments with the professionals, which hopefully you do talk to someone and get that help, you can use it as a tool then to try and find your triggers, and they can help you work around them and help you through them. I wish I had all these tips and things and all these opinions and what have you given to me, but in some sense I have had to fight this alone, more for, again, the anxiety made me feel alone, so I kind of separating myself from people. I ended up then, like, it don't help I have seasonal affective disorder, which means from, say, like September through to March, when there's not much sun, I have no energy, I have no appetite, no energy. It would be a matter of, I would take my son to school, I would then come home, sleep. I'd set an alarm, I would then sleep from dropping him off to school to picking him up, and then I'd end up having a nap, but then I'd get up and feed him, like give him his food and what have you, and then having a nap again. And in all, I think I slept about, I want to say around 18 or 19 hours a day. People would always say to me, oh, well, it's all right for some, I wish I could sleep that much. No, it actually makes you feel a lot worse, and it is very crippling, very life ruining, because you don't want to go out with friends, you don't want to go out with family, you don't want to see anybody, and it ruins everything. So that is how bad it can get. Given that is also my seasonal affective disorder, so that kind of doubled the extremity of it, if you will. But essentially it is that you just don't want to leave your bed. You either have no appetite or you comfort eat everything. You might have moments where you cry uncontrollably. So if you do have these kind of situations, it's best to get them, let's have a look, see now, checked out, because it can get worse. Whereas if you go for help, if it doesn't stay the same, it can only get better. You find it won't get worse. Worst case scenario is it'll just stay the same. But at least if you go for that help, you have these tools given to you to try and get yourself out of that dump, because it's really important. So I'm hoping now this video will hopefully inspire people to think, right, well, I'm not alone. What I'm feeling is rational, even if it does seem very irrational. It is a valid thing. Your thoughts are valid, your feelings are valid, you are valid. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise, because they're the kind of people that will crush your life with no thought of it. I know that sounds very harsh, but that is what it is. So yeah, to end this video now. Ooh, okay. To end this video now. Any more? No. To end this video now, I would just recommend self-help things. Go to your doctors, go to your family, go to your friends, talk about it, write about it, do something to get out in the open, and I hope you feel better soon. If you need any form of advice or anything, if you leave a comment, I will get back to you. And if this YouTube channel does kick off, I will create a specific email address specifically for this channel for you guys. If you want to email me or whatever, if I get hatred, it's going straight in the bin. I don't care. But I want to be able to help. I want to be someone there for you. As long as you are aware that I am not a professional, what I says, like what I come out with, is not gospel. It is not. It's fact, because it affects people differently. But for advice or any any actual in-depth knowledge you want or advice from my experiences, I will happily help you. So if you like and subscribe, I will have my next video up in a week, and that one will be, if this advert goes away, who has TikTok? So the next one in theory can be, I can fall into for you guys the teen mother, which was me, which then will follow on to childhood bullying, because I had bullying through my whole entire childhood. But the one that I noticed which hurts me the most is when I watched my son struggle, and I don't want that for anyone's kid. So I'll go into teen mother next, childhood bullying, single motherhood. No, teen mother, single mother, because they're both together. In fact, actually, I will put those two together. Yeah, I'll do that. Teen mother and single motherhood will run together in the next video, and then it'll be child bullying after that. I will then go into my physical health, which will hopefully support those who have similar issues that I have just mentioned in this video. I will then go on to the piece de resistance bit that blew the lid off of everything. And then hopefully I will then just make a vlog, if you will, every week after that, in hopes that it will follow on from any of these situations. So any of my followers then, any subscribers, can hopefully watch it then and hopefully pick out bits that they need or relate to. So I shall see you in my next video of teen motherhood, single motherhood, and yeah, like and subscribe. Bye.